Battlefield is back, baby. This is gonna be the best Battlefield game known to man. This new Battlefield game is gonna be just as good, if not better, than Battlefield 1, 3, and 4 combined, said everyone while watching the Battlefield 2042 trailer. Battlefield 2042 sacrificed itself to save every other Battlefield game. The game flopped so hard that at the end of the day, they were basically giving copies away. Buy a game, get 5 Battlefield 2042 copies for absolutely free. An unfortunate mess of what could have been a good Battlefield game. The idea of a semi-futuristic Battlefield sounds like something fans would have been begging for years, but boy was the execution bad. But now let's talk about the present, the modern day, the modern setting for Battlefield 6. I don't know if it's Battlefield 6 or some random name they tend to toss in there, Battlefield Sad Wars, or whatever cheesy name they give sequels instead of just putting a number at the end. But whatever the case is, one thing is certain: the hype. The hype for a new Battlefield game is unmatched to a modern Call of Duty release. Let's be for real here, Call of Duty is just bacteria replicating itself. Not a single modern Call of Duty game has had any innovation whatsoever. And I don't even blame them. Every time they try switching things up, it always slaps them in the face. Ew, this game is nothing like Black Ops 1. How dare you put these features in my new Call of Duty game? What is this map? Ooh, it's not a remake of Hijacked. Oh, how dare you? This game is terrible. I don't want to play it. Like every attempt at innovating the game ends up with reviews whining about its changes, as if they wouldn't complain about having an identical Call of Duty for 2 years. But that's for another video. Today we're going to talk about Battlefield 6 and how it's going to be one of the best Battlefield games we've ever had. Until it isn't. Look, I watched the sinking of the Titanic and that wasn't as sad as watching the sinking of Battlefield 2042. A semi-futuristic Battlefield game that had so much potential being torn apart by having such a bad release. And unlike Cyberpunk, the fixes weren't enough to save it. People moved on so fast that by the time they were able to add anything interesting into the game, it was just an empty stadium with like 3 people who still cared about the game's corpse. But see, Battlefield 6 is gonna be different for 2 main reasons. 1. DICE learned. The unfortunate death of Battlefield 2042 was definitely a hit to the investors. And if there's one thing companies care more than their customers, is their investors. If an investor is not happy, then EA is not happy. Who cares when the player base is angry? When an investor is upset, that is when things change. And surprise, surprise, Battlefield 2042 didn't exactly make as much Benjamins as they expected. And thanks to Battlefield 2042's sacrifice, DICE is more likely gonna give us a fully developed game at release. Something that sounds like a myth these days, a fully developed game at launch is such a miracle. We have devolved the gaming industry so much that a fully developed game is no longer required. What a time to be alive. What a time to be a gamer. Something that I noticed is a lot of people are saying no pre-orders, basically telling everyone to not pre-order the game in case it's genuinely garbage like the last time. Battlefield 2042 promised so much yet delivered nothing, like Mr. Krabs hyping up Krusty Land only to give us Cheapy the Cheapskate. So that's reason 1. Battlefield 6 is gonna be great because again, odds of us getting a bugged mess is less likely because DICE wants to please their investors, I mean loyal gamers. The other reason Battlefield 6 is gonna be great is the aesthetic, the theme, the game itself. Battlefield 6, as far as we can tell from the leaks, which I haven't shown yet, nor will I show in case EA decides to send a sniper to my house, looks like it's gonna take place during the modern day, which is great news considering the fact that the game got popular when it was set in the modern day. Now don't get me wrong, Battlefield 1 was one of the best Battlefield games that I've ever played, but seeing a modern Battlefield game looks like a dream come true. A lot of fans are rejoicing that Battlefield 6 is going back to its roots, like the release of Fortnite OG bringing back the uncle status players, a magnet for the true Battlefield fans. Good news over good news. We got what is most likely gonna be a finished game and a modern aesthetic, the serious tone that Battlefield is known for and the tone that fans love. I feel like video games, especially rated M video games, have forgotten what rated M stands for. M stands for mature. So why in the world does a game like Call of Duty have unicorn anime catgirl skins? Now stay with me here, and I promise that I'm gonna make a whole video about this, but video games have been selling out of theme cosmetics ever since the pandemic. Do you guys remember when cosmetics used to look like something you would see in a war and not something you would see out of an anime? Well, thanks to Warzone, we have cosmetics that look so out of place you would think it's an April Fool's prank by the developers. And the reason I bring this up is because I have a fear that Battlefield 6 is gonna end up like Warzone. This live service thing that every gaming developer tries to push turns the game into some soulless cash cow. Why look like a serious soldier when well over half your teammates are wearing Snoop Dogg skins with guns that look like dragons? I genuinely hope that Battlefield 6 isn't gonna end up like Warzone or Halo or any modern game that sells these random out-of-place cosmetics. Look, I get it, okay? People like the cosmetics, it's optional, whatever. But my experience and enjoyment leave the room the second a cat girl dances on my corpse because my default gun was a bubble toy compared to their pay-to-win overpowered AK-47 that looks like something out of Pixel Gun. And I feel like my fear is gonna come true. Like, this game is gonna be fun. It's gonna be the best Battlefield game we've ever had in a good while for about a month. It's gonna be like this serious aesthetic, this awesome Battlefield game that looks like, you know, an actual Battlefield game. But within a month, we're gonna start to see ray guns being sold into the Battlefield shop. And of course, let's not forget the Battlefield Pass that's gonna give people glowing rainbow guns and tank skins that make your tank look like a rubber ducky and whatever else makes the game look silly. Oh, and of course, let's not forget the monthly events. Oh man, I can't wait to see Squid Game on Battlefield. Oh man, I can't wait to see Ice Spice on Battlefield. Like, it's this mess that modern gaming has become. Of course, that's a topic for another video, but I'm very worried for Battlefield. Like, in Battlefield 2042, all we had were these silly soldiers that would say something like "jolly good show" after every single game. Like, bro, this is Battlefield. What do you mean jolly good show? Like, you just witnessed your buddy step on a landmine, but nah. Let's throw some cringy dialogue you would hear from a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse video. Good game, guys. We sure had a blast, didn't we? No, man, the only blast you had was the one you tried to dodge as half your squad got wiped out. But this is the modern era we live in, where video games, especially rated M games, are seen as these laser tag cash cows that sell anime skins. And again, I fear that Battlefield 6, knowing full well how EA operates, is gonna turn into this soulless cash cow the second players think they got a good game. Watch, like in a month after the release, this is when we're gonna start to see some Battlefield Pass containing some Rockstar skin with a guitar-shaped gun. Some people might like the idea of having these cool-looking cosmetics, and I get it. I really do. But I fear that Battlefield, a beloved franchise that once had a soul, will turn into like every other modern rated M game for the sake of revenue. But I'm gonna remain faithful and hope that my two theories stand, that the game will not be a buggy mess at launch and that the tone will be just as serious as it once was. Without these two, the game is not going to be any better than Warzone, and I don't want to sound like a neckbeard hating on Teen Titans Go because it's not serious, but the fate of the game literally relies on high standards. Otherwise, all we're going to get is another Battlefield 2042 and a funeral for the franchise. But yeah, Battlefield 6... let's hope it's good. Okay, I completely forgot the fact that Battlefield 2042 did not come with a campaign. Talk about low standards. Guys, the game was so bad, so buggy, terrible, and it didn't even come with a campaign. I have no idea why this slipped out of my mind, but it really makes you question where all the resources went if we got a terrible multiplayer and there was no campaign. There was no campaign! If the next Battlefield doesn't come with a campaign, then we're cooked. The franchise is cooked. It's done for. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's hope the standards are as high as every other game. If not, the whole franchise is just cooked.